Well, today I'm with my friend David Aronchick. He's the CEO and founder of Expanso.io, and Expanso.io is a data tool that solves the distributed data problem. It delivers governance, quality, and velocity from source to AI. It sits upstream from the tools you already use, sending clean, governed data to your tools. And David likes to call it your intelligent data pipeline. So, David, it's great to have you today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, great. So let's describe first the problem with the modern data platforms and what problem are you addressing with your tool?
Yeah, I like to say that the reality of data today is that it is being generated everywhere. According to Gartner, 68% of all data is being generated outside of your core data center. And by that, I mean wherever you have your data warehouse. It could be on-prem, it could be in any of the hyperscale clouds and so on. These tend to be like a central data center in Iowa or Oregon or Paris or Tokyo. That's fine. They're great there. The problem is that's not where your data is being generated. It's being generated on factory floors, in manufacturing, in retail, in self-driving cars, or branch offices, or I don't know, you name it, right? And so there is this question of what do I do with all that data out there? The default answer today is, well, I'm just going to take it and naively push it to that data warehouse, and then I'll start processing it from there. But that's a disaster. One, you're taking insecure data, unknown, vague data, and pushing it in. Two, you're probably pushing too much in, like you don't need all of that data in your backend. And three, the moment you move it from wherever it is right now where it's been collected into your data warehouse, you're beginning to run into regulatory and security issues. That could be crossing state lines, crossing country boundaries, crossing regions, you name it. What we do is using your existing tools and your existing data backend. Truly, there's no new SDKs, no new code you have to write. We allow you to run portions of your pipeline near where you are creating that data. It could be on those machines, those virtual machines, or those uh, devices, or whatever, or nearby them, and give you control about exactly what you move. Make sure it's clean, well formatted, follows your regulations based on your industry, and then moves it into your data. Still, your same data warehouse, same pipelines you're using today, and just everything becomes faster, better, cheaper.
Cool. Well, I've heard you say compute where your data lives, not the other way around. So
Yeah.
that's what I've heard you say. So that's pretty cool. And then I've also heard you say we're not your data warehouse. We help you fill it up.
Yeah,
So some of
yeah,
those
that's
things.
exactly right. I mean, that's it. It's when you go and look at what people are doing today, what people are building today. You can have a $35 Raspberry Pi, about that big. That is, faster than a reasonable machine was even 5 years ago, right? The amount of distributed compute at low cost is enormous. And why should I have to exclusively pay very large providers or only wait until the machine gets into some central warehouse before I start doing processing on it? And that's where we do come up with, it's not us who coined the term, this compute over data. We just happen to make it very easy for you to do that.
Also heard you say that you prep the data or make it ready for AI to use. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
One of the biggest problems that you'll see today as people use AI is they just naively take the entire block of whatever data they have and push it into a backend API. These are wonderful models, ChatGPT and Gemini and Claude and so on. They're all fantastic, whether or not it's an API or something you've trained. And you often need to have that because these can be very large models. Now, we also support, by the way, small language models, so we can help you run those models out there on the edge, but let's tackle the more general case as well. Let's say I looked at a point of sale system and saw that there hadn't been a single transaction in the past hour. Well, why, right? Is it the store shut down? Did I lose connectivity? Was there a hurricane in the area? Is it 4 o'clock in the morning? Where that data is. All of that is lost unless you take action when you push that data back into your data warehouse. This is what's called adding context. And even more than that, right? You want to push, or you want to query the API, the AI, with as little information as necessary to process it. As context windows, as it's called, get larger, they become much less accurate. So what you want to do is you want to hand it as small a context as possible, but that has all the relevant information. This is where we excel. We just say, hey, when you ship this data back to the data warehouse or directly to an AI, we make it super easy for you to like wrap it with the context that is important for this query. And as a result, not just that query, but then also when you store it in your data warehouse and you're going back and looking at it 3 weeks from now and you have no context whatsoever, it makes it easier for you to reconstruct exactly what happened when that data was being collected.
I've also heard you talk about some of the pain points as far as like slowing down development teams, slowing down data teams, costs. Where are you seeing the biggest impact with your solution?
More than 70% of all data engineers' time is purely spent on cleaning,
Hmm.
right? And a lot of this comes from um, the fact that the data comes in and is oftentimes poorly formatted for what you need on the back end. We're working with a very, very large energy producer, for example, and they have wind turbines all over the Midwest. And they have two wind turbines, same producer, but installed 1 year apart. Same model number, same everything. Now, it turns out that the producers changed the format of the wind turbine output between that year, right? They did some chip upgrades and things like that. And so as a result, it looks like two completely different deployments instead of side by side, right? And so they're duplicating recording and other things like that simply because people shifted some stuff around. What we do is we help them enforce and transform the data right at the start. So they can like actively say, oh, this is this wind turbine, make sure it gets this formatting. And this is this wind turbine, make sure it gets this formatting. And then when you push it back into the back end, you're now able to like streamline it. And that what we're doing is we're really just reducing the amount of annoying like, oh, somebody changed the order of these columns in this CSV file, and now my entire pipeline broke. And oh, by the way, it's been broken for a week and a half, and I didn't even know about it, right? These are all things that we trivially make easy for you to do, for you to alert, for you to send raw data to this place or that place or whatever. That's all part of our system. Our number one goal is not to tell you the right way to quote unquote do something, but instead to enable you to do a thing in the way that is the most easy for you to embrace. We have 200 different connectors already built for you. I've yet to hear of a single, connection, video, imagery, multimodal, CSV files, pulling from databases, pushing into databases, pushing to Kafka, pushing to event queues, whatever. Like we can handle it. But that said, it's always going to be a little bit of configuration, and this is something where I think of it as a strength, not a weakness for us, because the worst thing a vendor can do, the worst thing anyone can do, is walk in and say, "Hey, you know what? You're doing it wrong. Do it this way, and then you'll get goodness." It assumes that people can just swap everything out, or that there's no value in what you've already written, and neither of those is true. What we want to do is say, "Hey, you know what? Keep using exactly what you're using. Just take this bit that's running over here and run it over there." And just by doing that, magically you start to see benefits. And that's why we have all these packages where we say, we have guarantees, right? Like you could buy a package from us, a 3 month package, and if you can't architect something that pays back 2 times as much in those 3 months as you spend on us, we give it to you for free.
Then, as far as do you have a specific sector? I've heard you talk about energy, transportation. I'm assuming that anybody can benefit from your product or service, right?
Yeah, I mean, they always say as a CEO, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to like, pick your verticals, and we can absolutely. The two biggest ones for us by a mile are in energy and also retail right now. So if these are areas where you're already very naturally geographically separated. You're already collecting from things that are usually over poor networks, and I don't mean that because the people have constructed it badly. It's just it's got a cable modem and there's only so much video you can push over a cable modem, or these wind turbines are connected on whatever 2G 3G, right? Like you just can't move it that fast, and so as a result you're waiting days, weeks, often months in order to get answers from wellheads and wind turbines and so on. So these are two areas of verticals, but I like to say, like, look, if you have a data warehouse today, if you go to your IT, your SREs or whatever, and say, hey, are we using Databricks or Snowflake or Redshift or SQL Server or Mongo or Snowflake, or take your pick, right? Or you are using what's traditionally called an SIEM, basically anything that collects logs, Datadog, Splunk, so
Oh
on and
yeah.
so forth. We integrate with those natively. And like I said, we guarantee, I understand what that means. Like we guarantee we can build you an architecture in days that save you 2 times as much as you're spending on us, if that matters to you, right? Lots of people don't care. They're like, hey, you know what? The price is actually okay, but what I really struggle with is the signal to noise ratio is really bad, or I'm not alerting myself. Take another energy sector folks that we're working with. Their number one pain point is putting people on a truck, and they're like, this is the most expensive thing they do other than install new things. The moment someone gets in a truck and begins to drive, the meter starts running. And so they just have to be really thoughtful about that. Have they collected all the data from everything nearby? Have they thought about it? Have they put it together? Have they begun to think about whether or not it makes sense to put this person in there? Have they had a human being look at all the data before that person gets on the truck? We can answer all those questions. And again, I'm saying this in the energy kit space, but obviously, if you're in the utility space or cable modem space or anything where you do have that kind of interaction, then that's fine.
How would you like people to engage with your company and learn more?
Yeah. So, like I said, the easiest thing to do is reach out to me in directly on our website. You can book a session with an expert. I'm one of those experts. We have an entire team of solution architects. I just love hearing from customers. So, like, sometimes you'll hear from me, sometimes you'll hear from one of our solution architects based on your vertical and things like that. But just come. You can find us there and book a meeting. You can also look at all of our documentation and examples. We have many, many different examples and documentation. We have calculators on our website to show you how it might save you, or just visit us on social media or LinkedIn or anything like that. We're everywhere.
Anything new and exciting on the horizon that you want to mention?
Yeah, so we just announced our cloud product last month. So now you can get going. So our product runs entirely on-prem, unlike a lot of folks. Nothing, not a single byte goes through
Hmm.
our system, not one. It all stays in your system. So if you're SOC compliant or HIPAA or anything like that, we help you do this in place. We do have a cloud product that helps you manage those nodes, but that cloud product never sees your data. And if you want to run even the cloud product on-prem, we can show you how to do that. But certainly come by and look at that. If you've heard or use Kubernetes, we at KubeCon in the past couple of weeks, we announced a Kubernetes connector. So if you'd like to run and do these same kind of pipelines on Kubernetes or pull off Kubernetes logs or anything like that, we help with that. And I mentioned machine learning. So a lot of people want to use us for machine learning purposes. Let's say you're, for example, we're doing some work with smart cities where you have cameras pointed at crosswalks, and on those crosswalk cameras, we help them process and count people in crosswalks as they're walking instead of sending the entire video in. And this helps them do a lot of planning. So if you're in the machine learning, or if you're interested in making more use of your video and imagery, we also just launched that as well. We're moving super quick, but more than anything, it's just you tell me what your data problems are, and I'm here to listen.
Well, David, this has been great having you today and just learning more about your awesome solution at Expanso. And I look forward to watching your growth and seeing with your solution.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been great.